Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, आप सबका स्वागत है आज की श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास में. और आज हम लोग पढ़ेंगे, we will be learning, taking lessons from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 5, Chapter 1. Title is The Activities of Mahārāja Priyavrata. And in this particular chapter हम लोग समझना चाहते हैं भोग विलास और जो भौतिक ऐश्वर्य के जो अरमान एवं जो इच्छाएं हैं, why we should not be mad after them, why should not be bound after them, why should not be attracted to them, and why we should cultivate superior taste in spiritual life. Param drishtva navartate. So these important lessons have been covered in this particular chapter. So let's get started. Please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari, Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari, Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana, तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा डियर डिवोटीज, आप सबका स्वागत है, आप सबका अभिनंदन है। हरे कृष्णा। सो वी वुड लाइक टू आप सबको वेलकम करते हैं। हरे कृष्णा लता जी, हरे कृष्णा ललित मोहन जी, हरे कृष्णा भाविका रावल जी, हरे कृष्णा wonderful devotees who have joined us on this beautiful day where we are doing Shravanam Kirtanam, chanting and remembering Hare Krishna, and many other devotees who we are not able to see. It seems like your messages called above. Hare Krishna Baisakhi Mata ji, Hare Krishna Shanmukha Sundaran ji, and many other wonderful devotees who have joined us on this auspicious occasion where we are reading from SrimadBhavagavatam, studying SrimadBhavagavatam, and taking important lessons as how to lead a happy, blissful life and not be attracted, right, by the bhautik vilas, this mood of sense enjoyment, sense gratification, bhautik aishwarya, this material opulences, और उनके जो अरमान हैं, उनकी जो डिज़ायर्स, उनकी जो इच्छाएं हैं, उनके जो एस्पिरेशंस हैं, why not to be mad after these material opulence and cultivate spiritual taste in spiritual life. So again, param dashtva nivartate. So taking these lessons, let's dive into this chapter. Let's start with the Mangalacharan prayers, the invocation prayers for Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyet. Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. So we cover in this class chapter level lessons, and we cover the gist of the chapter as well as some important lessons, and today we will be learning those lessons with the acronym REMEMBER. So please remember these acronyms. हमें याद रखना है कि जो acronym है ये हमें enable करता है to understand the lessons in this particular chapter and also the flow as related to those lessons. Hare Krishna. So let's start. हम लोग recitation करेंगे of the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1. Hare Krishna. Devi, have you shared the link?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, I am sharing the link for this verse. Prabhuji is going to recite in the comments area.
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, Verse 1. Rajo Vacha Priyavrata Bhagavata Atma Ramaha Katham Mune Grahe Aramata Yanmulaha Karma Bandha Prabhavaha. Translation by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. King Parikshit inquired from Shukdev Goswami, O great sage, why did King Priyavrata, who was a great self-realized devotee of the Lord, remain in household life which is the root cause of the bondage of karma, fruitive activities, and which defeats the mission of human life. Hare Krishna. Please join us for Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatadaham vande Shri Gurum Dina Taranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So there are some amazing words being used in this particular verse. तो इसमें बहुत ही important शब्द यूज किए हैं. परीक्षित महाराज इंक्वायरी कर रहे हैं किनसे? सुखदेव गोस्वामी से. परीक्षित महाराज is fasting for 7 days and he is hearing Bhagavad Katha from who? Another Bhagavat, Sukhdev Goswami, who is one of the Mahajanas. And so Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring that Priyavrata Maharaj, Priyavrata was actually, the eldest son of Swayambhuva Manu. Or he, gave up. He did not want to rule over this material universe. He didn't want to manage the administration of material universe. So he left home and he was engaged in devotional service under the shelter of Devashi Narad. So I'm giving you a gist of this chapter. तो इसमें क्या हुआ? प्रियव्रत जो थे महाराज, उन्होंने घर बार छोड़ के, स्वयंभू मनु के ज्येष्ठ पुत्र हैं, बड़े बेटे हैं, उसके बाद में घर बार छोड़ के वो डिवोशनल सर्विस में एंगेज हैं. श्रवणम कीर्तनम विष्णु स्मरणम पाद सेवनम अर्चनम वंदनम दास्यम साख्यम आत्म निवेदनम. जो नव विधा जो भक्ति होती है उसमें लीन है अंडर द गाइडेंस ऑफ, under the shelter of Devashi Narad, right? So again, Devashi Narad is a Shaktavesh avatar of Lord Krishna. So again, Shaktavesh, because what's the potency he is carrying? He's carrying he's endued with the potency of devotional service. वो भक्ति से भरपूर हैं, तो वो इसलिए जो चीज़ आपके पास होती है आप वही चीज़ दूसरों को दे सकते हो. सो क्योंकि देवशी नारद के पास इतनी सारी भक्ति है, वो इसलिए उसका आसानी से प्रचार कर सकते हैं. And he is constantly wandering. So he is also referred to as Priyavrata because he doesn't have a residence. उनका कोई special destination ये जगह नहीं है कि this area belongs to me. No, he is actually wandering over the universe, and that's why he is also spreading to all kind of personalities devotional service. So again, he's preaching as well as initiating so many wonderful personalities. Now name some of the personalities you can think of जो कि देवशी नारद ने he has encouraged them to take to devotional service and they have been able to go back home, back to Godhead. So अगर आपको कुछ ऐसे personalities के नाम याद आते हैं तो please comments में जरूर share करिए. मैं भी कुछ लोगों के कुछ नाम बताऊंगा to encourage you to remember that the wonderful characteristics. Because in the previous chapter क्या फलश्रुति थी कि जब हम ऐसे राजाओं के बारे में जो कि भगवान की devotional service को ले लेते हैं and they engage in with their heart, mind, body and soul, everything is they engaged mind, body and senses to please Lord Shri Krishna. So that is how they are able to go back home, back to Godhead. And when we hear about this, we are actually blessed with the same qualities so that we can also engage in devotional service and finally go back home, back to Godhead. So that is a very important lesson. So we heard about Dhruv Maharaj. Yes, Prahlad Maharaj's incident is in 7th Canto that has been described. Here, Priyavrata himself, he is going to be, get fully initiated. And so यहाँ पे प्रियव्रत राजा को पहले वर्ष में परीक्षित महाराज किस तरह से एड्रेस करें? भागवत, right? So this Bhagavata, there is book Bhagavata and there is a person Bhagavata. So Priyavrata was already, engaged in devotional service. He was engaged in pure devotional service, so he was already a Bhagavat. He was already a self-realized soul. And then the second verse that has been used is Atma Rama. Atma Rama is one who is rejoicing within, himself. So again, oneself. So from that particular perspective, Atmaramascha Munyo Nirganta Paurkrame Kurvanti Ahatukim Bhaktim Ittam Bhuta Gunam Hari. So this verse we had covered previously, which Atmaram verse is famous Atmaram verse, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when conversing with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he gave 61 meanings of this verse, and later on many more to Sanatana Goswami. And then when he met with Prakashananda Saraswati and his followers, the Mayavadi impersonist followers, then also they inquired about this, and he explained various meanings of this Atmaram verse. But the gist of this verse is that even people who are, Muni, who are, fully rejoicing within themselves, they, with great enthusiasm, with great energy, with great attraction, with great attachment, they serve the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, because Lord Shri Krishna, he even attracts one who is a Muni, one who is, Dharya. Muni means one who is very deep, a person who's mourn, but he is very deep because of that. And we can take the lessons, and as Acharyas explained, that a fool is easily identified the moment he starts speaking, because he will talk of all of the subject matters and never touch the wonderful nectarian, pastimes of Lord Krishna and his devotees. So we want to continue to kind of follow in the footsteps of Mahārāja Priyavrata and so many others. And here Parikshit Maharaj, yes, he is also a great personality who is receiving the instructions from Shukdev Goswami in the form of SrimadBhavagavatam. And Shukdev Goswami received from his own father Vyasdev. Srila Vyasdev again received that knowledge from Devashi Narad. So again we see Devashi Narad initiating so many personalities, giving instructions to so many personalities, enabling them to go back home, back to Godhead. So आज का जो हम लोग जिस acronym से याद करेंगे, I will give you a gist of the chapter also with this particular aspect. The remember, R-E-M-E-M-B-E-R. So first one is remember. So first is a revelation. So again, Priyavrata, even though he was the eldest son, he did not have any attachment to the administration of the universe. Now it's just not the administration of a small planet, but it's the whole universe, this universe. And the administration is, in charge it was Swayambhuva Manu. And he, passed on that administration to his eldest son, King Uttanpad, and Dhruv Maharaja's father. And he was carrying out the administration, later Dhruv Maharaj and so forth. And then finally, we heard about Prachetas, and then their son was Daksha, who was expert. Daksha means who was an expert in fruitive activities. So he was engaged in fruitive activities. Then Chakshusha Manu's session would be covered during the Manvantara, Chakshusha Manu's Manvantaram. So that particular one is where the previous chapter ended. अब इसके अंदर revelation है कि again when one is looking to be successful in this life, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. Just like Priyavrata had approached Devashi Narad, and he was carrying out devotional service, and he had come to the level of Atma Rama, and he was referred to as Bhagavata. Bhagavata means he's a fully self-realized soul, constantly engaged in pure devotional service to please Lord Shri Krishna. So here revelation is, when we have inquiries, when we want to seek, then we must approach a bona fide spiritual master, and that is the process. Tad vidhi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya updeshyanti tajjnanam jnanena tattva darshina. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna reveals that there is a process. As per the process, one has to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and serve the spiritual master, sevaya, and inquire from him, prashnena. Updeshyanti tajjnanam, and one who has Jnaninas Tattva Darshana. So Jnaninas Tattva Darshana, which is one who has seen the truth, one who has realized the truth, can give us proper instructions and can reveal that truth to us. And the absolute truth is none other than Lord Shri Krishna. So that is revelation. So reveal to us, if we want to reveal what's the purpose of this life, we have to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. And when we become disciple, what is the definition of disciple? One who is ready to be disciplined, जो कि spiritual master के instructions को अपनी life में follow करके उसको disciple कहते हैं. So again, when one is chastised, one should be very happy that his spiritual master is anxious for his progress. He is concerned about his progress. That is also a reflection of love. Then the second, E in remember refers to one should inquire, right? We should avoid speculation. So what happens is Priyavrata was in the forest under the guidance of Devashi Narad, receiving instruction of Devashi Narad from Devashi Narad. At that time, Swayambhava Manu wo khud aa gaye. And he said, my dear son, I want you to take on to the administration of the universe. And Priyavrata, now he realized that, Swayambhava Manu is also one of the Mahajanas. And so he is, there are two Mahajanas and they're saying opposite things, right? But they're in reality not saying opposite things. Sometimes it appears contradictory. They are just giving him the instructions based on his position. So Swayambhuva Manu is asking him to carry on the administration of the universe. So at that time, without just denying that, he was asking from his father Swayambhuva Manu, will this engagement in the administration of the universe and having engaged in a family life, increasing the progeny, won't it deviate me from devotional service? So it's very interesting कि यहाँ पे जो analogy आ रही है, means again यहाँ जो similarity आ रही है, means Bhagavad Gita में Arjun, when he see all his kingsmen in front of him, his teacher Dronacharya, his grandsire Bhishma Pitamaha, and all his cousins and brothers and uncles and everyone is gathered on this battlefield, he is on the bodily platform, and so he is not ready to fight, and he is lamenting. Now here, Priyavrata, he is on a spiritual platform, just the opposite extreme, and so he is saying, why should I be engaged in this? But instead of saying that why should I be, or denying what his father has said, because his father is a Mahajana, he could not be giving an instruction that is not appropriate. So he is inquiring from him, okay, won't it deviate me? So here, one may think that, this is M in remember, is like one's mind may get bewildered, thinking that these are contradictory instructions. But these are not contradictory instructions, because even though it appears that Swayambhuva Manu is asking Priyavrata to engage in material affairs, right, affairs of this universe, that's based on his nature. We all, when we receive this body, the body is under the influence of the three modes of material nature. And we have prescribed duties that we must perform. So in Bhagavad Gita, we hear that Arjuna was ready to leave the battlefield and go and live as a mendicant. But Lord Krishna says, no, because of your nature, you are a Kshatriya. So you'll be engaged in fighting anyway, otherwise you will be lamenting. And to you, when your opponents, your other Kshatriyas will say that you only left the battlefield because of fear, because as a coward you left this battlefield, then that will be worse than death for you. So again, Arjuna had to engage in the battle, he had to fight because of the prescribed duties as a Kshatriya. So similarly, Priyavrata is the son of Swayambhuva Manu, and he is endowed with this quality to run the administration of the universe. So he has to carry out his prescribed duties. So he was carrying out his Sanatan Dharma, right? His Swadharma. But then he has his prescribed duties and the constitutional positions. Again, both duties have to be performed simultaneously. And in Ishobnishad, we hear as how these two paths are parallel paths, and they have to be carried out in perfect balance. So it appears that yes, sometimes the mind gets bewildered, but no material condition can be an impediment in spiritual advancement. So if we want to make a spiritual advancement, we should carry out our prescribed duties, constantly, being in our position as Jivera Sarupai Krishna Nityadas. Lord Krishna gives a very simple yet very profound instruction to Arjuna. Yat karoshi yad ashnasi yad juhoshi tadasi yat tapasyasi kanteya tat kurishva madarpranam. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 27, he is saying to Arjuna, Yat karoshi, whatever you do. So all the activities we do with our mind, body and senses, those are the three ways we do all activities. Those activities, one category. Yadashnasi, whatever you eat. So, we all have to sustain ourselves, our body. We have to take care of it. So we have to eat some kind of food stuff so that, we sustain ourselves very nicely. And then, Yat karoshi yadashi, yad juhosi tadasi yat. So whatever you give away and whatever you offer in sacrifices, so giving away is in charity. So whatever charity we perform, whatever sacrifices we perform, whatever yajnas we perform, and uh, Yajjuhoshitadasyat, and whatever austerities we perform, all these activities, all our activities, whatever we eat, all the charities we perform, all the sacrifices we perform, and all the austerities we perform, ये जो different type के यज्ञ दान तप जो हम लोग करते हैं, जो भी भोग प्रसादम लेते हैं to sustain this body, and भोजन लेते हैं जो कि, और जो भी हम activities करते हैं, they should be tatkurisham madarpanam. They should be first offered to Lord Shri Krishna. They should be done for the pleasure of Lord Shri Krishna. That's why devotees, they don't just eat normal food stuff. They offer the bhoga first to the deities, and then they eat prasadam, because that's when it gets Krishnized, so it gets purified, and our consciousness is purified in this process. और भगवान कृष्ण तो 18 चैप्टर में बोलते ही हैं कि ये यज्ञ दान और तप हैं जो है यज्ञ दान और तप, दे प्यूरिफाई इवन द प्योर सोल्स. यानी जो आत्मा राम, दिस इज द पीपल हु आर सेल्फ रियलाइज, वो लोग भी प्यूरिफाई होते हैं जब वो यज्ञ दान और तप में एंगेज होते हैं फॉर द प्लेजर ऑफ लॉर्डशिप. सो द फोकस इज दैट वी शुड नॉट let our mind get bewildered, because no material condition is an impediment in spiritual advancement. So when we do our prescribed duties aligned with our constitutional position, it is very nicely done. Now, next E is, again, remember, has 3 E's, right? The second E refers to our enemy. So who's our enemy? So we realize that because sometimes we get bewildered, we get distracted by seeing others and the relativity of this world, which is very bewildering. We think that we have to somehow struggle for existence and do all these activities, and we divert ourselves from spiritual progress. So we have to make choices. We have this minute freedom, right? So we are qualitatively one with the Lord, but we are quantitatively different. So we have this minute freedom. Lord is Swarat, He's completely independent, but we have little independence, little freedom. And so we make some choices which are not so favorable because they are related to the body. Just like Arjun was going to make the choice that, I want to leave, I don't want to fight. That was on the bodily platform. So when we make choices on the bodily platform, we actually realize that our only enemy is us, not others. Our only enemy is us. So we should be able to see that, yes, and this us is referring to lust. If you pay attention, lust has this us right in the middle, L-U-S-T. So this us is what we have to focus on, that we are thinking that we are this body, and that's where the lust catches us. And Kamaesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna, Samudbhava, Mahashano, Mahapama, with Ena Vihaverinam. So jo Kam hai, the lust hai, which is, what's the resting place? All our senses, our mind, intelligence, these are the resting place of our lust. So why should we why should we give shelter to lust, in ourselves, rather in this body? Rather, we should be driving our enemy out. And we should be focusing on engaging in devotional service for the pleasure of Lord Shri Krishna, and that is love. We should not be looking, riding away from Krishna and running after these lusty desires, these भौतिक जो कामनाएं हैं, जो इच्छाएं हैं, उनके पीछे नहीं भागना चाहिए, because then we get entrapped in this material world. So our only enemy is us, because we have to make the right choices. So that independence is there. And then comes an important point that Mahārāja Priyavrata, when he is in this inquiry from Swayambhuva Manu, at the same time Lord Brahma, along with various demigods, including Lord Shiva, he comes to the same place, Gardhamadhan Parvat पे, जहाँ पे महाराज प्रियव्रत, इस समय प्रियव्रत की तरह रेफर किया गया उनको, वो अपने फादर स्वयंभुवा मनु से इंक्वायरी कर रहे हैं. And Devashi Narad, his spiritual master, is not engaging in this conversation. He is just observing how Maharaj Priyavrata is talking to Swayambhuva Manu. And at that time, when he sees Hamsa Viman descending, Devashi Narad understands, oh, Lord Brahma has come. So he immediately, starts walking with Swayambhuva Manu and Priyavrata. They all pay obeisances. to Lord Brahma, who descends from his Hamsa Viman, and he is smiling. He is actually very happy to see Priyavrata, so highly exalted, so elevated personality. So his mind is also very interesting, that he is realizing that I have to bless this boy who is has come to the level of self-realization. Yet at the same time, I'm going to show him the full path. So he is focusing on one part of it, but it has to be aligned with his prescribed duties. As Acharyas explained, that Priyavrata was just focusing on devotional service and neglecting his prescribed duties. Well, both of them have to be carried out in parallel. So this is where Lord Brahma's smile is revealing this particular secret. And so, the mindset of sense gratification versus that of self control, that is also very important aspect. Hare Krishna. So, REMEM. So, the next M in remember is, the second M is the mindset, right? What is our mindset? So, at that time, you know, Swayambhu Manu had already identified to Priyavrata before Lord Brahma came, that you are born with a specific nature. You have received this body, and this body, in the modes of material nature, it has been influenced in such a way that you have to carry out your prescribed duties. Now, this is further attested by Lord Brahma. Now, we have to pay attention. At this time, Priyavrata is seeing four Mahajanas standing in front of him. Devashi Narad is standing, Swayambhu Manu is standing, Lord Brahma is standing, and Lord Shiva is standing. So, in the presence of these four Mahajanas, he is hearing this instruction, and now Lord Brahma. So, when Swayambhu Manu gave the response to Priyavrata, Devashi Narad did not interfere at all. He understood that yes, what Swayambhu Manu is saying is very much true, because Priyavrata should be able to engage in his prescribed duties while carrying out devotional service, meditating on Supreme Personality of Godhead 24/7. But it is a very interesting task, because administration of the universe, increasing the progeny, getting into a family life, which is a big challenge, and sometimes people think that this will cause a fall down. And this is exactly the inquiry that Maharaj Parikshit is putting forth. वो भी यही पूछ रहे हैं कि अरे अगर प्रियव्रत ने अपना डिवोशनल सर्विस में जो 24/7 एंगेज्ड हैं उसे छोड़ के पूरे ब्रह्मांड का एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन संभाल लिया, राज्यभार संभाल लिया, एंड देन मैरिज लाइफ में एंटर करे, won't he fall down? Means again, how could he attain perfection? Because जो मैरिज लाइफ होती है उसको प्रहलाद महाराज कहते हैं अंधकूपम, राइट? इट इज़ अ डार्क वेल. So once one falls down in this dark well, there is no shelter. And there is a beautiful analogy given in the scripture, SrimadBhavagavatam itself, that a person who falls down in this andhakupam, he is holding on to this rope. Somehow he is, not going to the ground, because at the bottom there is snakes ready to bite him, right? So Mrityu is just waiting. And on the other hand, on this particular bale, this particular vine that he is holding on to, जिससे वो लटक रहा है, जो person है, this is being bitten and being cut by two mice. One is black, one is white. So day and night they're cutting away. And yet at the same time there's small drop of honey falling, and he's thinking, oh, this is very nice, forgetting about the immediate danger that befalls him. So this is material mindset, a person seeking little honey that's falling to be, yes, very nice, not realizing that death is ready to devour him at any moment. So the mindset of sense gratification, which is related to the body, versus sense control. And again, all other yoga process, जैसे कर्म योग है, ज्ञान योग है, ध्यान योग है, जो अष्टांग योग की बात करते हैं, these others are indirect processes. You have to do some, give up something, only then you can engage further to the next level. So, but in bhakti, it is it's a direct process. Srila Haridas Thakur in Harinam Chintamani explain करते हैं कि these all are indirect processes, while devotional service, which simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is a direct process. And Srila Prabhupada gives the example, when you're going inside a building and you have to go to the top floor to meet the boss, the CEO, Lord Krishna, then why do you want to take the stairs? Why do you want to take long paths? Why don't you just take the escalator, press the top button, and just reach the top floor? So devotional service, not just it's a direct process, it's also the easiest process. बहुत ही सिंपल एग्जाम्पल आता है. बहुत सी बार लोग दे आर लुकिंग एट मेडिटेशन, दे आर लुकिंग एट दिस अष्टांग योग सिस्टम, राइट, एंड वो दैट्स लाइक वॉकिंग द स्टेयर्स. Or you can think of it this way, that this is like crossing an ocean. ये जो material world है, it is also called भवसागर, right? It is ocean of nations. तो उसको पार करने के लिए लोग अपने बॉडी को बहुत एक्सरसाइज करके स्ट्रांग बनाते हैं कि हम लोग उसको स्विम करके क्रॉस करेंगे. On the other hand, all the devotees, they say, we have a simple arrangement. We take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, which is like a perfect boat. So they actually take a ticket by the chanting of the holy name. It gives you the ticket to get onto this cruise. So this cruise line from Vaikuntha is there, Lord's lotus feet. They have perfect cruise, taking shelter of the cruise. So devotees, we go onto the cruise, and the cruise can easily cross over this ocean. While there is not much endeavor. All you have to do is, Srila Prabhupada says, recreation. This is a perfect program of recreation. You chant a lot, you dance a lot, you eat prasadam, and you have wonderful, devotional service to engage in throughout your journey. So while, in other yoga systems, they are running and they are in this ocean, trying to swim across this ocean. And this ocean is filled with timingala fishes, sharks, and so many other, ferocious aquatics. Yet at the same time, they're taking all that dangerous path. While on this wonderful cruise, devotees are simply crossing, chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Mahārāja Priyavrata, he understands these instructions from Lord Brahma that I have to carry out this service. So he takes it as a service, that this is my duty. So again, he was not at all having any negative thought towards Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma ne ye instruction diye, bless kiya, that yes, don't worry, you will not be deviated from your path of your spiritual advancement. Rather, it is going to reveal something very important. So don't you want to know that Mahārāja Priyavrata, जो कि Atmaram stage पे, self-realized stage, he is a pure devotee of the Lord. He is engaging in worldly affairs. He is getting married. He is going to have children. He is entering a family life. And how he is able to overcome all the impediments, the so-called impediments of this material world, and again be self-situated. So again, these are some very important lessons. But what we have to do is, going back to the acronym, is to understand what is important to be able to go on this path. B in remember refers to blessings, that we have to seek blessings of our elders. And there are three criteria that elders can give us blessings. One who is spiritually advanced than us, we serve them, right? So Mahārāja Priyavrata takes it as a service. Devashi Narad, who is son of Lord Brahma, also his spiritual master is Lord Brahma, the instructing spiritual master. So again, he also understands what my spiritual master is saying definitely is for the benefit of my disciple. So he accepts that, and both of them in a very nice manner, along with SrimadBhavagavatam, who is now satisfied that Priyavrata has now accepted to take on the charge of this administration of this material universe. Priyavrata अब फैमिली लाइफ के लिए हाँ बोल चुके हैं, और वो पूरा ये जो इस ब्रह्मांड का जो भार है, राजभार, उसको संभालने के लिए वहाँ बोल चुके हैं. ये जान के SrimadBhavagavatam is also very pleased. So they very lovingly they offer obeisances. But B is for blessings, where the blessings come from Lord Brahma to sage Priyavrata. So in this way, we hear about that what is important is blessings from the elders. We have parents at our home. We should, get their blessings every day. We should engage them, as well as ourselves, in Lord's devotional service. We should try to have Harikatha in a home environment where everyone understands that the focus of life is to get the goal, which is, goal is Krishna Prema. So again, and that goal can be done through the process of devotional service. Bhakti के मार्ग से हम लोग अपना गोल पा सकते हैं. And devotional service can simply be attained by the mercy of the Lord, by the blessing of the Lord, when we chant the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Even Mahamantra is actually a prayer. We are seeking blessing of Lord Shri Krishna and Mother Radha. Hare. And we are asking that please engage me in your devotion service. And when Lord blesses us, by His mercy, we get opportunities to engage in devotion service. And Shavaram, again, hearing is the most potent, most powerful devotion service. So जब हमें हरि कथा का चांस मिलता है, हमें छोड़ना नहीं चाहिए. We should go and hear from the devotees of the Lord Hari Katha, because that is for our own purification, for our own advancement, and we get amazing blessings when we hear Hari Katha, especially SrimadBhavagavatam. And then the last E, the third E in remember refers to executing prescribed duties. So while aligned with the spiritual constitutional position. So again, Swadharma in Sanatan and and Sanatan Dharma, ये जो prescribed duties and constitutional positions हैं, ये दोनों carry out करनी चाहिए perfectly. So Mahārāja Priyavrata, at this time he has become the administrator of this material universe, and he is carrying out constantly remembering Lord Shri Krishna as an offering. Whatever he is doing, whatever he is eating, whatever यज्ञ दान तब जो भी कर रहे हैं, भगवान को ऑफरिंग करते हुए, उस पोजीशन में रखते हुए वो ये सारी एक्टिविटीज कर रहे हैं. Yet at the same time, as an administrator, he is responsible for one thing, to make sure that everyone gets an equal opportunity, equal facilities based on their position. So now, one of the very important aspects that comes in this particular chapter is that Mahārāja Priyavrata jo the, first of all, he gets married, right? So he is carrying out his prescribed duties and in alignment as an offering to Lord Shri Krishna. So when he is carrying out his duties, he carries out various affairs that we'll discuss later. But I want to also remind you that when you are engaged in material affairs, if you become attached to the material affairs, then it's going to cause lamentation in the long run or the short run. So again, that is the nature of this material world. Okay, it is dukkhalayam shashvatam. ये जो material world है, is a place of misery, dukkhalayam. यहाँ पे केवल दुख मिलता है. And अशाश्वत means it is temporary in nature. So जैसे कि हम लोग कभी misery नहीं चाहते हैं, but on the course of time miseries come our way. So similarly, the happiness also comes its way. We should engage in devotional service and carry out a prescribed duty as an offering to the Lordship. So again, in a dutiful manner, in a loving manner, that this is a great responsibility on my shoulder. और ये मेरी responsibility है कि हमें अपने प्रियजनों का, अपने जो भी हम लोग की जो responsibility उनका ख्याल रखना है, but as an offering to Lord Shri Krishna. Many people they say, oh, मैंने अपनी फैमिली के लिए कितना sacrifice किया, मैं अपनी फैमिली के लिए कितना sacrifice कर रहा हूँ. बहुत सी बार इस तरह के thoughts आने लगते हैं. Then you are actually on the bodily platform, because when you are thinking, oh, I have received this son and daughter in my family, who are Vaishnavas and Vaishnavi, Jivera Swarup Hoya Krishna and Nityadas, are living entities and eternal servant of Lord Shri Krishna. I have the opportunity to make them, to awaken them to their Krishna consciousness, to engage them in devotional service. And I should make sure that they have all the facilities so they can engage in spiritual advancement. That is the true mindset. That is the spiritual mindset. That is how father and mother, they look at their children. When they look at their parents, right? A devotee looks at the parents and saying, oh, by their mercy I have been able to get this human form of life, and they are also Vaishnava and Vaishnavi, so let me also serve them nicely so that I get their blessings and they also continue to advance in spiritual life, making sure that they have all the facilities so they can continue to progress in their journey back home, back to Godhead. So with this mindset, we should be engaging as a family together. And so we can have, even in this pandemic times, right? People are going crazy. I cannot meet my friends. Well, you have such a wonderful family at your home. Why don't you engage with your family? Why don't you have some quality time? And quality time is not like doing material things like playing chess or playing cards, which is, tash kare nash. There is a very important saying. It destroys our time, and before you know, you have lost the most precious commodity in this world, which is time. And Shatranj kare ranj. Shatranj, instead of bringing people closer, they actually cause rift. So, these kind of material games, people, they play some of these games which are more of competitive games, not collaborative games. So these competition-based games actually cause rift within the family members, and they make, you know, they increase the animosity among the family members. We should not spend time doing these kind of games. Rather, we should do Hari Katha. We should play collaborative Krishna conscious, activities we should engage in. And the best game is dancing and chanting and singing. So again, we can engage them. We can cook together. We can all offer bhoga together to the Lord Shiva for his pleasure. And then we can all honor prasadam. Prasadam seva. It is called, seva. It's also a devotion service when we accept prasadam. So it nourishes not just our body but also our soul. It makes our soul very happy. हमें प्रसन्न चित्त कर देती है, हमारे चित्त को भी, हमारी आत्मा को भी पूरी तरह से संतुष्ट कर देता है जब हम प्रसाद को ग्रहण करते हैं. तो हमें इस तरह से जब अपने एग्जीक्यूट करते हैं प्रिस्क्राइब ड्यूटीज़ एंड नॉट एंगेज इन दिस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड, जो कि प्रियव्रत के एग्जाम्पल से हमें पता लगेगा. ही वाज सच ए ग्रेट पर्सनालिटीज कि उन्होंने जो जो एक्टिविटीज़ करी फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ पीपल, राइट. इवन देन ही वाज lamenting, but this is spiritual lamentation. And then he remembered the mercy, right, of Lord Shri Krishna. So again we see Arjun received the mercy of Lord Shri Krishna, so he engaged in his prescribed duties and was able to go back home, back to Godhead. Similarly, Mahārāja Priyavrata, he was, by the mercy of the Lord, he remembered his original position. So when he had grown up sons, he left his home and was able to go back home, back to Godhead. And sometimes people say, wait a minute, Mahārāja Priyavrata, he left his wife under the care of his sons. So this is Vedic civilization, where when a girl is born, she is under the care of her father. So she is not subdued or controlled by her father, but she is provided a safe environment by her father where she can grow and engage in devotional service. And after she is married, she is under the care of her husband. So her husband provides proper environment and protection for his wife so that she can advance in devotional service. And when the children are grown up, the wife is placed under the care of the children. Just like Marisha, the wife of Prachetas, she was placed under the care of Daksha, the son of Prachetas, and the Prachetas left for the forest to attain perfection. So here we hear as how Mahārāja Priyavrata, even though he was carrying out administration, he somehow get attached to some of the aspects. Some of the things which were the arrangements in this universe, he did not like that. So he did some activities which no human can easily perform, is again. So that is being revealed here, and which actually caused him to do lamentation. But his lamentation is spiritual, because he is trying to provide facilities to all living entities based on their position, right? Giving them everyone equal opportunity, ताकि वो लोग advance कर सकें spiritual, engagement में, devotional service में, so that we can go back home, we can all go back home, back to Godhead. So he is doing all these efforts for the whole of humanity, for not just humanity, but all living entities, so that everything is very nicely carried out. But he still feels lamentation after that, because he is feeling that even though he has performed so many great activities, he has spent so much time away from his main duty, devotional service. And now that everything is very nicely set, he can, he leaves his wife under the care of his sons, and then he goes to the Himalayas and he attains perfection. He goes back to Godhead. So what are the activities that Mahārāja Priyavrata engaged in? ऐसी क्या activities थी? उनकी क्या ऐसी भौतिक आकांक्षाएं थी? उनकी क्या ऐसी भौतिक विलास की इच्छाएं थी? क्या था जिसके कारण उनको lamentation हुआ? तो we have to also understand this very nicely. So जब अपने उन्होंने दादाजी से, Lord Brahma is his grandfather also in relationship, from bodily relationship. Swayambhava Manu is son of Lord Brahma. जब उनसे भी उनको यही इंस्ट्रक्शन मिला कि उन्हें एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन करना है, तो वो फुली वर्ल्डली अफेयर में एंगेज हो गए. उन्होंने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, राइट. बट at the same time he was only thinking of the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. So Mayyeva Manadhatsva, Lord Krishna says in the 12th chapter, May Buddhim Nevashya. So always think of me and engage your intelligence in me. So that is the mode in which, and that Atma Ram, at that high stage of as a Bhagavat, he is carrying out all the worldly affairs in that platform. He didn't have to come down off this spiritual platform to engage in devotional service. He was on a spiritual platform while carrying out his, prescribed duties. तो ये जो भौतिक राजभार जो उन्होंने पूरे ब्रह्मांड का संभाला है, उसमें पूरी तरह एंगेज हो गए, बट एज एन ऑफरिंग टू लॉर्ड श्री कृष्ण, बिकॉज he realized के Lord Brahma has revealed that this is the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that I have to carry out my prescribed duty. Just like Arjun, he had to fight because that was the order of Lord Shri Krishna. Lord Krishna says, Nimitra matram bhavya savya sachin. You are just an instrument in this whole affair. So we, living entities, are Shakti, right? We are Tathashta Shakti. So we can only be effective if we are, following the instructions of the Shaktiman, Lord Shri Krishna, right? He is the one who possesses these Shaktis, so we should be engaged as he desires. When you are using any of the instruments, right? And if what you are using that instrument for a given purpose, then you are happy when it works the right way. If it doesn't work the right way, then you don't see any value in it, right? If you are using a knife and the knife is blunt, cannot cut, would you want to use that knife? No, it's blunt. It needs to be sharpened. Otherwise, you cannot use it. It's not very useful. When you're trying to use a needle, and if the needle is not able to pierce through the cloth that you're trying to stitch, it's not useful, because that's the purpose, that a needle should be able to sew things. So again, sewing machine, similarly, same thing. So everything has a specific purpose. If you don't have the purpose being solved by a given instrument, then the instrument loses its value. So here, understand कि ये तो भगवान का आदेश है. महाराज प्रियव्रत ने वर्ल्डली अफेयर्स में एंगेज हो गए, और उनकी फर्स्ट मैरिज हुई बहिष्मति, डॉटर ऑफ प्रजापति नेम्ड विश्वकर्मा. विश्वकर्मा की जो बेटी थी बहिष्मति, उनसे उनकी मैरिज हुई. और फ्रॉम क्वीन बहिष्मति he got 10 sons, right, which were equal to him in beauty, character, magnanimity, and all the other qualities. So there is a saying that the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. So again, जो बेटे होते हैं वो अपने पिता को रोल मॉडल समझते हैं, और जब पिता जैसा बिहेव करते हैं उनको बच्चों पे फॉलो करते हुए उतने ही मैग्नानिमस बन जाते हैं, अगर पिता मैग्नानिमस होते हैं. और अगर पिता ठीक नहीं होते हैं तो फिर बच्चे उनको फॉलो करते हुए गलत राह पे भी चले जाते हैं. सो एसोसिएशन मैटर्स, एंड स्पेशली इन केस ऑफ फादर एंड सन बिहेवियर, इट मैटर्स अ लॉट. तो ऐसे में महाराज प्रियव्रत के जो 10 बेटे थे, अब उनके बेटों के भी नाम दिए हैं क्योंकि वो भी इक्वली मैग्नानिमस थे, इक्वली पोटेंट थे, तो इक्वली क्वालिटी में अपने पिता के समान थे. सो ये जो महाराज प्रियव्रत थे, उनके जो बेटे थे उनमें आग्निधरा थे, इद्धमजिह्वा थे, यज्ञबाहु थे, महावीर, हिरण्यरेता, गृहप्रशा, सवन, मेधातिथि, वितिहोत्र एंड कवि, राइट. और ये जो 10 नाम हैं, दीज आर ऑल्सो द नेम्स ऑफ फायर गॉड. अग्निदेव के भी यही 10 नाम हैं. सो इनमें जो 3 बेटे थे, कवि, महावीर एंड सवन, वो फ्रॉम द बिगनिंग ऑफ देयर लाइफ दे स्टेड इन सेलिब्रेसी. महाराज प्रियव्रत ने भी सेलिब्रेसी ऑब्जर्व करी थी, तो इन तीनों बेटों को वो वाली पोटेंसी मिली थी. तो अगेन दे वर इन सेलिब्रेसी, सो दे वर वेरी वेल ट्रेन. ब्रह्मचर्य आश्रम में रहते हुए उन्होंने ब्रह्मचर्य लाइफ को उन्होंने बहुत अच्छी तरह बचपन से ही उन्होंने उसका पालन किया, और दे वर फुल्ली कन्वर्सेंट विद द हाईएस्ट परफेक्शन. सो दे बिकेम at the level of Paramhamsa. So they were actually, from Brahmacharya, they had elevated themselves to the Brahmacharya or Paramhamsa ashram. महाराज प्रियव्रत की दूसरी पत्नी भी थी, जिनसे उनको 3 बेटे हुए. उनके बेटों के नाम थे उत्तम, तामसा एंड रैवता. Yes. And these 3 personalities were actually Manus in different manvantras. So Lord Brahma के एक दिन में 14 Manus आते हैं, they reign. So again, श्रीमद् भागवतम के हम लोगों ने 4th canto में पढ़ा था किस तरह से the various Manus, they reign at different times, right? So the first Manu was Swayambhuva Manu in this day of Brahma. Then Sorochisha Manu. Then comes Uttama, right? From the second wife, जो उनके बेटे उत्तम थे, he becomes Manu. Then comes 4th Manu is Tamas Manu. And then Revata is the 5th Manu. So all of them they became. And then 6th is the Chakshusha Manu. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Chakshusha Manvantara के काफ़ी अच्छी तरह description दिया है. And then the current Manu is Vavasvata Manu. And then after his current Manu, so Vavasvata Manu will come Savarni, then Daksha, Savani, Vani, and then Brahma Savarni, and then Dharma Savarni, then 12th will be Rudra Savarni, 13th will be Deva Savarni, and 14th will be Indra Savarni. So these are the 14 Manus, in this current day of Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma का जो एक दिन होता है उसमें 1000 चतुर्व्यूज, अगेन चतुर जो होते हैं 4 ages, सत्य लोग, द्वापर लोग, त्रेता लोग, and Kali Yuga. So these 4 yugas, Chatur yugas, 1000 times appear करते हैं. So approximately 71 times of these Chatur yugas is the reign duration of each of the Manus. So इस समय प्रियव्रत जो हैं वो reign कर रहे हैं. तो ऐसे में बहुत ही interesting aspect होती है कि he was excellently ruling the universe. महाराज प्रियव्रत पूरे ब्रह्मांड का बहुत अच्छी तरह एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कर रहे थे, लेकिन एक चीज़ उनको अच्छी नहीं लगी. Now see again, sometimes we do not know the things behind it. So he was dissatisfied because of the circumambulation of the most powerful sun god. So Surya Dev जब कहते हैं, जब earth is circumambulating, revolving around, rotating revolution. So earth has 3 movements. Yes, in science they only talk about the 2 movements, rotating and then revolving, rotating on its axis and revolving around the sun. They don't talk about that the earth axis is also rotating. That's given in the Shastra. It takes about 83,500 years for the earth axis to rotate around the axis that is perpendicular to the direction of the sun. So that is also there. It's given in the Shastras. So here, Priyavrata, because the earth is tilted like this, he was not satisfied, because at times the lower part would be, visible too. So there would not be enough light onto the northern part. And similarly, sometimes, when it is away this way, so again, the upper part would be far. So the southern part will receive the light, but not the northern part. So he was getting dissatisfied, because he was thinking, this is very, different arrangement. This is dislike the situation. So therefore he decided to make daylight in part of universe where there was night also. So he decided to, spread daylight. As he did this, he followed the orbit of the sun god on a brilliant chariot. So of course, earth is revolving around the sun, so he's not changing that, but he is revolving around the earth on his own chariot, and as a effulgent like sun, he's spreading light to the area जहाँ पे light नहीं है. And because of this, something happens. And we all hear about the current scientists giving various theories about how Pangea broke up into Gondwana and Laurasia. And the whole ocean was actually just one ocean, Panthalassa. So again, that's what they call it. So Pangea means all land, and Panthalassa means all water. So these theories have been given by the scientists, but actually it was King Priyavrata when he was on his chariot. So the whole Bhumandal got divided into 7 continents, islands, and there were 7 oceans that emerged. So Mahārāja Priyavrata के जो 10 बेटे थे, उनमें से 3 बेटों ने तो ब्रह्मचर्य लेते हुए परमहंसा स्टेज पे पहुंच गए थे. So ये जो 7 islands थे, they were Jambu, Plaksha, Shalmali, Kusha, Karuncha, Shak, and Pushkara. So ये जो 7 islands थे ना, each island was twice as large as the one preceding it. So their sizes have been defined as well. Okay, they were amazing. And the liquid that was surrounding it, was equal in width, but of course it would have different lengths, when it's surrounding it, depending on how big the island is. So the 7 oceans appear here surrounding each of these 7 islands. They also contain different kind of liquids. So first one contained like salt water, then the next one contained, the liquid was sugar cane, ganne ka juice, that was the liquid. Salt water, again we'll talk a little bit about salt water, which is a perfect arrangement on this planet Earth. Salt water is actually a perfect way how the earth can sustain itself. See, सूरज की जो किरणें होती हैं उससे जो salt water is the storehouse of water, which is needed for agriculture and all the plants to get proper nourishment, and even for animals, human beings, all living entities, they subsist on water only. तो ऐसे में पानी के ऊपर हम सब लोग आधारित, हमारा जीवन हमारा आधारित है, पानी बहुत ज़रूरी है. तो सॉल्ट वाटर जो होता है वो डिसइंटीग्रेट नहीं होता है, वो स्प्लिट नहीं होता है, इट इज़ प्रिजर्व्ड बिकॉज देयर इज सॉल्ट इन इट. सो बट सूरज जो होता है ना, सूर्य की किरणों से वो भाप बन के जब बादलों के फॉर्म में आता है, सो दिस the winds carry these clouds to the mountain peaks. Our mountain peaks is like the treasury house, just like government, they extract taxes from citizen, but they don't just immediately distribute everything back to the citizen in various kind of welfare programs. They actually keep it in treasury, and is based on different projects they are releasing little bit of the treasury. So similarly, now the mountain peaks, they are in the form of snow and ice, and some of it slowly as is needed by the living entities, it converts it into water. So that's also effect of sun, which causes the ice peaks to melt, and then slowly water is given. If it was to just melt immediately, then the whole land would be flooded, right? And we cannot sustain ourselves in that state. तो इसमें ये बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है कि जिस तरह से बादल बन के बाद में ये जो वर्षा होती है, उससे हम सबको जहाँ जहाँ ज़रूरत होती है वहाँ मिलता है. माउंटेन पीक्स पे जो बर्फ़ के फॉर्म में, स्नो के फॉर्म में वाटर कलेक्टेड रहता है, it is also coming down slowly and slowly. So this is all a very nice arrangement. The water cycle is a very nice arrangement so that we can all sustain ourselves. So this is for our sustenance. Lord has made this arrangement. So if we try to go to ocean and try to quench our thirst, we cannot quench our thirst because it's salty. So we have to take shelter of the rivers, the lakes, the ponds, as is being arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his various instruments called the Devas. Yes. So here everything is very nicely arranged. So यहाँ पे salt water, another place sugarcane juice, another third place the whole island was surrounded by liquor. Another island was fully surrounded by clarified butter ghee. Another island was completely surrounded by ocean made of milk. Yes, Shir Sagar. Yes, Shirodakshay Vishnu is resting in that Shir Sagar, ocean of milk. And another island, emulsified yogurt. So again, this reference comes later on that Lord, he manifests of one of the spiritual Vaikuntha planet in this material universe. And so that's there. Emulsified yogurt is surrounding one of the island. And last but not the least, is sweet drinking water is on another island, surrounding the other island. So that's another ocean. So all these 7 oceans are there, and all the islands are surrounded completely by these oceans, and each ocean is equal in the breadth of the island, but the length varies. So Mahārāja Priyavrata, he saw that these 7 islands are there, so he gave the ruling of each of the island to each of his son, right? Agnidhara ko ek island ka de diya, Idam Jiva ko ek de diya, Yagya Bahu ko another, then Hiryeta, Gritprishta, Medhatithi and Vitihotra. So they all became kings by the order of their father, Priyavrata. So, after giving them, and then he also had a daughter. King Priyavrata also, from his queen Brahishmati, he begot a daughter. Her name was Ujjasravati. Ujjasravati was married to Shukracharya, and she gave birth to a girl, and she gave birth to a daughter. Her name was Devyani. Yes, Devyani's story will come later on in SrimadBhavagavatam as well. Very important, as how she was married to King Yayati and so forth. So, this is where, after seeing all this arrangement, now King Priyavrata did all this because he realized that there are different kind of human beings. They are living on different places, and he wanted to segregate because there was lot of transgressing the land was happening. So he wanted to stop this transgressing because this was causing a lot of disturbance in the universe. So here we hear about how King Priyavrata, he is Bhumandal ko unhone kaise 7 islands mein split kar diya, because that was a reaction of his taking on the chariot to avoid the transgressing of the various kind of human beings crossing over in each other's region. So one of the things that we can look from Panji as example is that Panji already had various mountain ranges. As it splits and situates itself in the current setup on this earth, right? Various continents are there. then we see that there are various mountain ranges, which were previously existing, are still there, as well as new mountain ranges were formed when the two plates they pressed against each other, just like Himalaya. It formed in due course of time. And so South America, part of it was attached to Africa, and India was the lower part, the peninsula area was attached to Africa, which splits and goes to its own region where it is currently today. तो हम लोग इस तरह से देखते हैं कि ये क्यों हुआ, क्योंकि शिला प्रभुपाद एक्सप्लेन करते हैं पर्पट में, there's 8.4 million species of life है, इसमें जो 0.4 है, which is 4 lakhs million species of life, 400,000 of them are just the human being kinds, the categories of human beings. And there is a reference given that just like Prithu Maharaj, jab unka, before him there was Nishad. He was born from the body of King Vena, from the body after King Vena, by the chanting, tumultuous chanting of the sages, he died, right? और उसके बाद में उनके जो शरीर को जो मंथन किया गया, तो पहला जो उसमें से एक शॉर्ट सा डार्क पर्सन with very flat faces, very short hands and legs, he appeared. He was Nishad Reis. So Nishad Reis, he immediately ran to the north in the jungles, because that's where Nishad Reis lives. They are one of the lower category of human beings, very much like animals. So again, their nature is they're rogues and thieves. They have no good qualities, so that is their mentality. So such tribes live in jungle, and they sustain by doing all the kind of abominable things to sustain themselves. So 4 lakh are the categories of human beings, and what was happening was that the lower category of human beings, they were thinking that sometimes people say I'm more powerful, so I should be respected. Well, the intelligence should be respected the more, but sometimes this even comes in the example of Athens and Sparta. Athens was filled with scholars and Sparta was filled with warriors. So there was constant conflict. And if we know from truth, means again, currently we hear about superpowers. They are based on strength. And strength is not the measure of intelligence, right? So again, a king is respected where they rule. But a knowledgeable person, a sant, a sadhu, a knowledgeable person is respected everywhere, because this person is highly intelligent, and it is also said pen is mightier than the sword. So again, we will see so many examples हम लोग को life में आते हैं. So ऐसे में Maharaj Priyavrata is lamenting that I was engaging in this, we created all these continents, ये सारे जो islands बनाए उन्होंने, तो it was so कि ताकि ये लोग transgress नहीं करें एक दूसरे को. Just based on strength, they don't suppress the people who are highly elevated personalities, right? So again, and we saw that even though he tried so much, in due course of time, what happened was such a backward civilization of England, people, the Britishers, they came and they started ruling all over the world based on their strength, based on the Kootiniti, just like, and they tried to suppress the Vedic civilization. But now people are realizing that they had actually a political motive to suppress the Vedic civilization. Now Vedic civilization is being recognized as one of the topmost civilization. Even the process, जो simple हमारी जो एकादशी व्रत की जो है, उसके ऊपर people are doing the study and they're getting Nobel prizes. So that is how glorious Vedic civilization is. And people are realizing that. There is a person, he is getting Padma Shri, as we heard, because he has reached 126 years of age. And he is only 80 साल के हैं वो. But he is carrying out very regulative principles, follow करते हैं, regulated life करते हैं, proper yoga करते हैं, and he is, also a Krishna Bhakt. So automatically people are realizing, if you want long life, become a Krishna Bhakt, have a regulated life, engage your senses, param drishtva nivartate. Automatically the senses are controlled, because they will not fall down to lower modes, but rather they will stay transcendental by engagement in devotion service. So now people are discovering this and they're saying, oh, this is very nice. Now that somebody has proven, it's already, whatever is written in the Vedas, what's given in SrimadBhavagavatam, ye jo hai, it should be accepted as it is, right? Just like a person, 126-year-old person will tell you, oh yes, this is how I have been living, So people immediately close their eyes and start following. We should live like this. But understand, it is not the duration of journey important. It is how well हम कितने खुश हैं इस journey में, that is important, right? It's not the number of breaths that we take. It is the moments that take our breath away that matters the most. And जब हम भगवान की भक्ति में लगे होते हैं तो हम इतने लीन होते हैं, इतने प्रसन्न होते हैं, and then we realize that actually we are not the body जो होता है, हमारा जो शरीर है वो नश्वर है, हम तो आत्मा है जो कि परमात्मा के भक्ति में परमात्मा की सेवा में लीन होना चाहिए. और फिर जब हम लीन होते हैं तो हमें रियलाइज होता है कि हम तो अमर हैं बाय वेरी नेचर, राइट? सो वी बिकम सिचुएटेड एट आवर ट्रू स्टेट, जीवेरा स्वरूप हरे कृष्ण नित्यदास. एंड देन वी रियलाइज दैट एक्चुअली हम भी भगवान का ही एक अंश हैं और हमें इंस्ट्रूमेंट होना है उनकी सर्विस में, उनके मिशन में, उनके प्रोपिगेशन ऑफ कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस में. तो वी सिंपली स्टार्ट्स विद द चैंटिंग ऑफ द होली नेम. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. तो ये सब देख के महाराज प्रियव्रत जब उन्होंने अपने बेटों को राजपाल संभाल दिया, अपनी पत्नी बहिष्पति को अपने बेटों के केयर में रख दिया, और उनकी बेटी जो तो उनको शुक्राचार्य से उनका मैरिज करा दिया. ही वॉज पॉन्डरिंग ओवर दिस. ये सोच रहे थे कि ये जो हुआ है, राइट, पूरा ऑपुलेंस अच्छी तरह से विद फुल स्ट्रेंथ एंड इन्फ्लुएंस जब ये कर रहे थे, अच्छी तरह से एंगेज थे इस तरह से इस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, इस ब्रह्मांड का रूलिंग में, तो ही स्टार्टेड टू reflect back. So this is introspection. It's not lamentation, it's introspection. And actually it's a spiritual lamentation. ये जो है आध्यात्मिक लेवल का वो है तृष्णा है, बिकॉज ये जो स्पिरिचुअल लेमेंटेशन है. तो इसमें सोच रहे थे कि उन्होंने तो फुली सरेंडर कर दिया था अपने आप को देवर्षि नारद के चरणों में, उनके पास जो उन्होंने दिखाया था भक्ति मार्ग पे, उसमें लीन थे कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस में. बट somehow or other, by the order of spiritual master, supreme personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, by the order of his Dadaji, Lord Brahma, who is one of the Mahajanas, by the order of his father, Swayambhava Manu, he engaged in this worldly affairs, and now his mind had become restless because those affairs are over. He should not engage in this, and so this is timely awakening हो रही है उनको. And ये जो lamentation है, it is not a material lamentation, it is spiritual lamentation. ऐसा ही एक example आता है चैतन्य चरितामृत में, that Madhvendra, he was also lamenting at one time that, oh my Lord, I have not attained you, oh my Lord, I have not attained Mathura. तो ऐसे में वो जब Madhvendra, right, he is a pure devotee of the Lord, वो इस तरह से जब lament कर रहे हैं, उनको देख के उनका एक जो disciple थे, उनके disciple थे रामचंद्रपुरी. And this Ramchandra Puri was actually a Mayavadi at heart. Even though he was a disciple of Madhvendra Puri in Vaishnava Sampradaya, being a Mayavadi at heart, he was saying, oh, Sarva, जो ब्रह्म भूत है वो तो हमेशा प्रसन्नात्मा होता है, न शोचती न कांक्षती, वो ना तो पास्ट के लिए लमेंट करता है ना फ्यूचर के लिए एस्पायर करता है. तो ही स्टार्टेड गिविंग इंस्ट्रक्शंस बैक टू हिज स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर. वी टेक इंस्ट्रक्शन फ्रॉम स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर, बट हिज पर्सनालिटी, he became so covered by ignorance that he started giving instruction to his spiritual master. He started actually chastising and criticizing his spiritual master कि ये क्या lamentation कर रहे हो, why पश्चाताप क्यों कर रहे हो, ब्रह्मभूता स्टेज पे कोई पश्चाताप, कोई lamentation नहीं होता है, rather you should be at the brahmabhuta stage, come back to your stage. So seeing this, that this particular disciple of mine, जब माधवेंद्र ने देखा कि ये disciple is in complete ignorance, he's misinterpreting my expressions and calling them, material lamentation. So immediately chastised, he actually derided him. He said, get out of here. And he said, no, aap yahan se jao. This is where Madhvendra Puri actually let go. But then he had committed Vaishnava Prad. So much so, Vaishnava Prad se jo hota hai, hamara spiritual progress hurt hota hai. So Ramchandra Puri came to such a down level, he fell down to the level that once he even criticized Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He tried to find in the fault in the Supreme Personality of Godhead who's faultless. So again, that is the nature of one who is in this material consciousness, or even in impersonalist consciousness. So again, Brahmanvadi, thinking that Brahman, we merge into Brahman, we become God. No, we cannot become God, because there is a Par Brahman. Beyond Brahman is Lord Shri Krishna. He is the cause of Brahman. He is the cause of you know, as a super soul in our heart. So also, so again, he is the original absolute truth, the supreme absolute truth. So when we realize this, then again we realize that actually Madhavendra Puri is in, on this spiritual lamentation. He is feeling this separation. That's the bhav of gopi, virah ka bhav, in separation. That's the service in separation. So similarly, King Priyavrata, he is lamenting on a spiritual platform. Alas, how condemned I have become because of my sense gratification. Even though he was constantly engaged in, remembering Lord Shri Krishna and everything, he was engaged in all the material affairs he was carrying out, but still, this is a glory of a Bhagavata. A Bhagavata, pure devotee of the Lord, जो अपने आप को कभी भी, शुद्ध भक्त है वो सेल्फ रियलाइज मुनि हैं, वो भागवत हैं, तब भी उनको भगवान की तरफ रिफर किया जाता है बहुत सी बार, बिकॉज प्योर डिवोटीज हु आर फुल्ली एंगेज, जैसे देवर्षि नारद, शीला व्यासदेव, लॉर्ड ब्रह्मा, लॉर्ड शिव, उनको भी भगवान के टाइटल में बहुत सी बार रिफर किया जाता है शास्त्रों में, बिकॉज दे आर कॉन्स्टेंटली एंगेज इन लॉर्ड्स डिवोशनल सर्विस टू प्लीज लॉर्ड श्री कृष्ण. लेकिन तब भी they don't consider themselves as devotees. So again, this is the supremacy of their attitude, as well as the feeling of gratitude they are feeling towards the lordship. So जो महाराज प्रियव्रत हैं वो बोल रहे हैं कि आई हैव फॉलन इनटू दिस मटेरियल एंजॉयमेंट. वो सारे जो अफेयर्स देख रहे हैं चारों तरफ, जो मटेरियल अफेयर हो रहा है, he is thinking I am engaged in all these material affairs, this leads to material enjoyment, fruitive activities, why am I doing this, right? Which is like a covered well, अंधकूपम की तरह है ये तो. So again यहाँ पे रेफरेंस उनके उसमें आता है कि वो खुद सोच रहे हैं कि मैं तो ये covered well, अंधकूपम means again it's a blind well, उसमें हूँ, and now I have had enough. मैंने बहुत कुछ कर लिया, मेरे लिए perfect time है, I am not going to enjoy it anymore. He's, this remembrance is coming again by the mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So Lord Krishna in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita revealing to Arjuna that I am residing in everyone's heart. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto. I am residing in everyone's heart as super soul, as Paramatma. परमात्मा के रूप में इस शरीर, जो भौतिक शरीर है, उसमें भगवान विराजमान है, और हमारी आत्मा उनके ठीक नेक्स्ट टाइम, बिफोर दिस बॉडी कम्स टू नो आवर डिजायर, लॉर्ड नोज, परमात्मा नोज आवर डिजायर. सो मत्त स्मृतिर ज्ञानम अपोहनम च, एंड फ्रॉम मी कम्स स्मृति, रिमेम्बरेंस, ज्ञानम knowledge, and apohanam forgetfulness. So people who want to forget Krishna, Lord Krishna even facilitates that. People want to remember Krishna, Lord Krishna facilitates that. People who are looking for knowledge, ज्ञान को जो लोग ढूंढ रहे हैं, Lord Krishna facilitates that. So here it is by the mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. As soon as जैसे उनकी prescribed duties complete हो गई हैं, he is ready to give up everything. Lord Krishna is making him remember, introspection करते हुए कि अब तुम्हारी सारी duties खत्म हो गई हैं. Why are you in this particular worldly affair anymore? You should give it up. So he decides that just see how I have become like a dancing monkey in the hands of my wife. So महाराज प्रियव्रता सोचते हैं कि मैं अपनी पत्नी के in the hand of my wife किस तरह से मैं एक dancing monkey, बंदे की तरह नाच रहा था. So again, sometimes people say I'm wrapped around the finger, right, of my wife. So that's also another expression आज के समय पे यूज किया जाता है. तो yes, and so he is actually lamenting and he's saying I am condemned, मैं गिर चुका हूँ, मैं पतित हूँ. Even we see acharyas who are highly exalted, they refer to themselves in this same way. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, he says, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Tum bin ke dayalu jagat samsare Patita pavana hetu तब अवतारो मौसम पतिता प्रभु न पाई बेयार. So यहाँ पे नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर, great acharya in Vaishnava Sampradaya, he is singing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu, please have mercy on me. Right? आप लोगों का जो अवतार हुआ है वो पतित, जो fallen है, उनको उद्धार करने के लिए हुआ है. And of all those, I am the most fallen. So my, claim is first. So again, this is the mood. So is King Priyavrata in this mood, right? Wo, he understands this, so he's lamenting. And this is where this chapter ends. But one of the most important thing is that Srila Prabhupada in the purport, the last purport of this chapter, writes that no one but the Supreme Personality of Godhead could have done what Mahārāja Priyavrata did, right? Mahārāja Priyavrata dissipated the darkness of night, and with the rims of his great chariot, he excavated 7 oceans and 7 islands were created. So it was because of Mahārāja Priyavrata, he just 7 islands create Karga and Jambu Dweep and so many others like we discussed today. So this last R in remember is nothing but remember. Yes, remembrance comes by the mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. So here I would like to quickly, in conclusion, it does look like that Arjun and Mahārāja Priyavrata jo initial inquiries hai, they are similar, but they are completely the other 2 ends of the horizon. Arjun is making inquiries and lamenting, जो विषाद योग है पहले चैप्टर में जो बताया है भगवद गीता में, that's on the bodily platform. Mahārāja Priyavrata का जो initial inquiries and they are on the highly spiritual platform. Yet at the same time they take to the instructions. So both take the right approach, they take shelter of a guru. So Arjun accepts Lord Shri Krishna as his guru, right? Shishyasteham, he says. And Mahārāja Priyavrata has taken shelter of Devashi Narad and he takes the instructions, right? So he's getting this param drishva nivartate. He's getting this higher taste, right, when engaging in devotional service. And both of them, when they were, put in difficult situation, they inquired. They didn't do mental speculation. So that is the A in, the first A in remember. And they accepted what was given to them as instructions, even though it was not of their liking, not something that they wanted, but they accepted it. Arjun, he wanted to left the battlefield, but Lord Krishna said fight, so he fought, remembering Lord Shri Krishna, right? Mama Smaran Yudhyacha, because that was the instruction, remembering me, fight, O Arjun. And here, Mahārāja Priyavrata, he got the instruction from Swayambhuva Manu as well as his grandfather, Lord Brahma, that he should carry out the ruling of this material universe, administration of this material universe. So he accepted that. And both reestablished themselves on this new understanding. So they carried out their duties very nicely. So that is the important aspect, say, again. So their mind did not get bewildered. They did not think that these are conflicting instructions. They both realized that prescribed duties have to be performed with our Sanatana Dharma together, right? And so we should also take this instruction. So the second E in remember is enemy. We should understand lust is our dire enemy, and we have this, minute independence. So हम अपने ही शत्रु बन जाते हैं जब हम लस्ट के पीछे भागते हैं, मटेरियल भौतिक आकांक्षाएं रखते हैं, भौतिक भोग विलास में लगना चाहते हैं. इस तरह का सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन, सेंस एंजॉयमेंट का जो एटीट्यूड है ना, so the only enemy on our path of spiritual advancement is us. So understand who our enemy is, right? This body. When improperly used, to run for lusty desires, it causes all kind of lamentations and all kind of bondage and all kind of miseries. While engaging in love, we can overcome this enemy known as lust by engaging our mind through the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the second M in remember refers to the mindset, that we should have the mindset of sense control, param darshan nivartate, of higher taste and not of sense gratification, because that is lower mindset which causes us to become an enemy of our own self, right? And causes all kind of miseries. Nobody wants miseries, but then if we make choice, as you sow, so shall you reap. अगर हम गलत चॉइस करेंगे तो उसका गलत परिणाम आएगा ही. So the sinful reactions will come our way. Even pious activities, when done with fruitive mindset, they are called fruitive activities, and there are fruitive reactions to it. While devotional service, when done to please Lord Shri Krishna, they don't have any reactions. Rather, it pleases Lord Shri Krishna, so we become transcendental to the 3 modes of material nature. And so we should be looking at blessings. So we should always be seeking blessings from our elders, from our seniors, from Guru, from the Sampradaya. So again, this is also very important. We should always be ready to render service to receive blessings. Just like Swayambhuva Manu, he sought blessings from all the Mahajanas who were in front of him. Devashi Narad, Swayambhuva Manu, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva. And so he carried out his activities to their full satisfaction with all his full capabilities. And so E, and remember, the last E refers to executing our prescribed duties, right? So that's also very important. And finally, we should be able to remember the Lord so we can return back home, back to Godhead. So this remembrance comes by the mercy of Lord Shri Krishna and his devotees. तो ऐसे में हम लोगों को बहुत ही अच्छी तरह समझना चाहिए कि जो भौतिक जगत है इसमें हमें भोग विलास की इच्छाएं नहीं रखनी चाहिए. इसमें भौतिक ऐश्वर्य के अरमान तथा इच्छाएं रखते हैं तो क्या होता है, हम लोगों को बहुत लिमिटेशन होता है, बहुत मिसरीज आती हैं, बहुत सारी डिफिकल्टीज का सामना करना पड़ता है. तो इस लेसन से हमें पता लगा है, विद द एक्रोनिम रिमेंबर वी यूज to not be mad. Why not to be mad after this material opulence? And why we should develop spiritual taste in spiritual life. हमें क्यों devotional service पे engage करना है, so that we can all, carrying out our prescribed duties, constantly remembering Lord Shri Krishna, can go back home chanting and dancing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this is where this chapter ends, and we'll pick it up again in my next class. Tantra SrimadBhavagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vind ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Om Tat Sat.